were talking about therapy. I'm kind of like moving around a lot. Earlier, therapy. So why not talk about relationships? Why, the how, and the why? Well, some of us were late bloomers. It took us a little bit of time to figure out that we were in a toxic relationship with relatives, sometimes exes, sometimes people we don't really know well. I wrote, Dear Survivor, this might be you. You need some life coaching to set goals when it comes to dating and marriage, plan and education, and get some skills. And communication is the key to this. And what is preventing you from living and enjoying and excelling in your life? It's my whiteboard. I don't know if you can read it, but I wrote it down because it's a lot of information. The reason I started out with Dear Survivor is because most people, you got to find out where you are in your relationship timeline. Like, how many relationships have you, and can you relate to the power control wheel? Because some of you have been in relationships where there's economic abuse, somebody withholding the alimony or child support. Some of you can relate to somebody controlling your vehicle and your personal belongings. All of us have been through something like this. That's when that's when it becomes a legal matter. Especially if there's physical violence or harm done to somebody. If you find yourself in here, then it's time to think of yourself as a survivor, because it's time to get healthy and it's time to start focusing on life coaching. Because really, and before I go too far, I want you to download or watch Matthew Hussey's videos, because I can tell you there's a lot of confidence that's lacking in the relationships around us. And it's because of this much abuse. That much abuse going on. There's going to be confidence issues with your children, your family. If you've been a DV survivor or ever had anything like this go on in your home or your family for years at a time, you're going to have to find out how to be more anecdotal, because it's probably too late for the people that are already harmed. My dad once said the harm was already done, and that's true. There's a lot of people that did a lot of harm, and I don't know how it'll work out for everybody involved. I do know that domestic violence is a crime, and it's punishable under U.S. law. So when I just tell you that survivors have a lot of ground to gain from, like, if you've only known power and control, then you're just beginning. You're just starting this journey. So there's a lot of material just in the Matthew Hussey videos. I don't have to go too much into it. Let's just say I'm going to leave it off with the topic on confidence. Confidence is one of the biggest parts of building relationships. Once you start feeling confident, you start to see a glow come back to your skin. Your hair looks better. Your makeup looks better. You just get an overall better look and feel of yourself. You can tell that you're in a healthy relationship when you start to see an appearance of healthiness. It takes a long time to recover. Some victims have had so many setbacks it may take years. Some people are more resilient and bounce back. So I want to recommend Matthew Hussey videos, because I know we only have a short amount of time, but I just want you to know that when I look at the power control wheel, and I look at like all the things that are going on, like therapy, living in a hotel, stranded on the street. The battery is not been stolen. The truck, somebody's messing with me. There's money missing. I mean, it's a whole host of things. This goes on in a lot of families, and there are a lot of people that you would think, I can't believe that happened to you. But in reality, a lot of these things, when they start happening, they happen to one, two, or it happens all at once, and it's so bad. So what I'm saying is, if you can remember what you went through and you can talk to an attorney, neighborhood legal services, that's the best way to put a stop to it. I know a lot of people heard that before, but it does help to have legal representation and having somebody look over your case. Mine is topic here is using emotional abuse, manipulation, and all these other things that are going on, minimizing, denying. A lot of times victims are in denial just because they really don't understand, or they do understand what happened and they're trying to block it out. That's kind of normal. So for the victims that are just surviving, I mean, it's too early to jump to conclusions. It takes time to get to that place where you're, you know, stable on your own 2 feet to do the right, all the other things. The first things first, for the victim that's just leaving or escaping abuse, you got to get stable. You got to get into a house and a home, or get somewhere safe for you if you have children. You just got to get into a safe place to go, and then start making, getting the help. Definitely advocates can help. You want advocates that have the insight on what's going on with the victims, especially if you've been re-victimized. Just knowing the power control wheel. The victim that has been re-victimized by the same abusers, there's a lot more probably going on with the abuser that you're not aware of. So it'll be interesting because that's how we got the attorneys involved to begin with. I would just recommend for some of you who are taking life coaching classes, especially if you are a survivor, life coaching and skills like cooking skills, and those are the kind of things that we're going to be teaching. And cooking class. It's not a big deal, but you just don't want anybody burning anything down. So it's good to have clean plates and cooking sheets and things like that, and getting down to business again. But for a victim, it's starting over today. Today's day one for us who are survivors. So make the best out of every moment you can. That's about it. Thank you for listening.